Hi guys, I'm John.
And I'm Toshana. Welcome to Millennial F.I.R.E, where we give practical tips on reaching financial independence and early retirement. So we took a little bit of a break this year to focus on family, but we're back now and we were gifted with an awesome opportunity with TAME Financial, some of our good friends, to talk about our journey, to give some financial tips, and we wanted to share it with you guys and we hope you enjoy it.
Just want to start off my name is Anisha, co-owner of TAME Financial. Today we're doing TAME Talk Tuesday, and our mission is allowing wealthy concepts to be accessible to mainstream America with a focus on educating minorities. So we are a tax preparation company, and every Tuesday we jump on here, we talk a little bit about tax updates. Today we have a special guest, Toshana and John, and they're going to let us know a little bit about what they do in their journey, and we're going to dive right into it. Hey everybody. I know you did her introduction, so I'm Toshana, co-owner of TAME Financial. So yeah, we're gonna dive right in. How you guys doing?
Great.
Good. So start by telling us a little bit about Millennial F.I.R.E. What does it stand for? Tell us a little bit about you guys.
So, for everyone that doesn't know us, my name is John.
And I'm Toshana.
And we've been happily married for the last 7.5 years. I do that. And we decided to start on a journey to reach retirement by the age of 40. And that sounds really extreme, but we discovered that in making this goal, originally it was honestly an arbitrary goal. We realized that there was an entire community that was focused on how to reach financial independence in early retirement. And so the name Millennial F.I.R.E. comes from us being millennials, and also the term FIRE, which is an acronym. And so FIRE stands for Financial Independence Retire Early. And like I was saying, it's an entire community of people that focus on things like making smart investments and saving as much as possible to be able to reach financial independence. And long story short, financial independence is the point in your life where your income, your passive income specifically, exceeds your expenses indefinitely, so you don't have to work. Meaning that your investments bring in enough income that you never have to go to another job if you don't want to.
Right. Isn't that the goal? The goal is to retire early, not how, live your life how you want to live it, travel. But I definitely agree with you. It seems like the millennials, that's kind of like the generation that's like putting all that information out there again. Like it's like a movement. I'm not sure what's going on, but it's like everywhere you go, especially on social media, you see a lot of people talking about their credit, their finances, investing, trying to get property, trying to get assets and trying to build themselves up. And it does seem like it comes more from the millennial, maybe because of technology, knowing how to maneuver, understanding the power of social media in comparison to older generation, or maybe just the access to the knowledge.
I would agree. Yeah. Kind of partially feel like millennials is those people that they kind of come through and they're ready to wreck shop. They like, I'm not about to do it your traditional way, and I'm trying to make my own path. Oh, you're not paying me enough? I'm going to quit your job and go make my own lane. So I kind of like that because you see the shift in the different generations. So that's really dope.
So what made you guys? So I understand you guys started your journey in the beginning of your marriage.
Well, I think both of us kind of started our journeys at different areas of our life. So I kind of grew up in a household where we talked about finances. Credit was something that I knew was important from a very young age. My dad actually put me on his credit card from the age of I was 4. I didn't know he did it until I was old enough to get my own credit card. But because of that, I was gifted a great credit score by the time I was in college. And so although I knew that finances was important, I knew the importance of saving was something that I was known as a thrifty person growing up. Any money I got, like for Christmas, I always put it in my piggy bank. I never wanted to spend it. And so I was always a saver from a young age. And then when I got to college, because I had a great credit score, anytime I went shopping, you know how they get college students like, oh, you can get $15 off if you get approved for this credit card today. So I started racking up on credit cards, and I still was very smart about using credit cards. I only used what I had in my bank account, and I, made sure I budgeted to make sure what I made was all I spent on my necessities in college. until I met the love of my life, where he introduced me to the finer things in life. And by the time I knew it, I was graduating college. I had $15,000 of credit card debt, and for the first time, my credit score was less than 700 because of $15,000 of credit card. All my credit cards were maxed out, and so at that point is when I really took my finances serious, and I spent the first year that I graduated paying down on my debt to the point where when we finally got married, I came into the marriage with no debt at all, and I acquired his student loan. And so together, our financial journey started by making sure we get rid of all of our debt. So when we got married, that was a focus. And we always knew together, that was, I think, a goal that we both had, is that we didn't want to work for someone for the rest of our lives. We don't want to work until we were 65. And so we knew that having debt was definitely something that would be a deterrent to getting us to that goal. And so we eliminated our debt. And then another thing that I learned growing up is that owning real estate was a great way to grow wealth. And so that was definitely the second goal that we had, was to make sure that we weren't renting anymore and that we bought a house. And after we hit these two goals, we were like, what's next?
So my growing up was a bit different. So in my house, I applaud my parents that they were able to take care of all of us, and we never went hungry or anything like that. But the finances weren't a big part of the conversation, and something that I considered a benefit at the time, but actually turned out to be one of my downfalls, is that I made a decent amount of money even from high school. So in high school, I was a musician at church. And so while everybody else was working at fast food restaurants and making minimum wage, I was getting decent checks for putting in a few hours a week. And so I was balling. Of course, I was a cool kid that was like, oh, I'll pay for you. I'll do that. I'll take you to the movies, whatever. So so that trend and that lifestyle continued into college and got even worse because on top of being a musician and getting that income, I got all of the student loans. When every single time they offered it, I would take the maximum amount, and then I would pay for books and classes, of course, and then the rest of that, I'm balling. So going into that cycle, I was in a stage in life where I wasn't really focusing on school much. I was starting to fail. I met Toshana, and she was like, well, if you want me to take you seriously, you got to get your life together. And that included getting on top of the money, getting on top of my grades. So it was around my senior year of college that I finally started to take finances seriously. Started to look at getting my debts knocked out, handling those things that were in collection. My credit score was in the 500s at that point in time. Thankfully, help with my wife and education, now it's above 800 consistently. So that's where my side of the journey started, with getting into finance.
So what you're trying to say is, like, you need a good wife that's gonna snap you into action, get you right, make sure you're doing all the things you need to. She was your accountability partner.
Oh, 1,000%, yes.
But I will have to say though, like, although I was the one that got John on track with making sure that, like, he understood how to manage his finances, once he learned, he took it a step further, and he was like, oh, just being on top of our finances is not enough. Like, I want to be better and greater than that, and I want to retire by the age of 40. He's the one that came up with that idea. And ever since he came up with that goal, that's been what we've been moving towards, striving towards.
That sounds good. I think it's so funny that, you guys are were in opposites when you guys kind of started your journeys, and it was so funny because I kind of related with John when he was mentioning, like, when he went to college, and I was like that. When I went to college, my mom, and we grew up in a household where we didn't really talk about finances. No shade to mom if you're watching, so sorry.
We love you.
We love you. But when I went to college, my mom gave me a credit card, I went and got a way better credit card on with horrible interest rates, like horrible, it was not a good credit card. And when I was in college, I maxed out that sucker. Like, we kind of like, oh, live your best life, go on vacations, do this, do that. So I maxed out that credit card. And I had to learn the hard way when it came time to pay it back. And kind of like John, I was lucky. I didn't necessarily have a job per se, but I hustled. I did hair. I did all these knickknacks to get money. And then I also pulled out all my loans as well and paid whatever I need to pay. Then I had all this loan money to play with for the rest of the year, right? So I never put myself in a situation where I had bad credit because I always paid it, but I definitely maxed out those cards. And when it came time to pay it back, I was like, "Oof, I should have never maxed that out because paying it back was like a whole like 3 year struggle." Right.
Yeah, which is just very crazy. And then even to go on, 'cause I remember when you guys were talking about just like your situation versus John's, even telling him like, okay, this is what you have to do. However, that's one part of the task. He has to be disciplined to even carry it through. So discipline is a big thing when it comes to savings and budgeting. And I can imagine that discipline is really big even as you're on your journey to like stay focused and not, you know what, we hit this goal, we got this property, let's just chill for a little bit. So tell us a little bit about, I guess, the discipline and how it kind of ties into like the budgeting and the savings and eliminating the debt to kind of get you onto, your journey and to progress from there.
So we've traditionally been very, very heavy on budgeting and saying, hey, we need to be on top of every cent that goes in and goes out. But this year we had a bit of a change. It is not that budgets aren't important. It is very important to know what's coming in and what's going out. Because, of course, if you don't know that, you don't know how you're moving forward in your financial journey. But there's this book that I read this year that talked about the importance of saving on autopilot. And the idea behind this book was that, okay, regardless of what your budget is, if that money is already allocated before you put the paycheck in your bank account, then you can always move forward. And honestly, this year for us has been one of those years where we've had some things occur just in our family lives that took our focus away from the finances. But because we had this automated savings plan going on, we still were able to hit some awesome financial goals, even outside of me. Honestly, it was usually me messing up the budget throughout the year. And so while budgeting is important, and for those of you that don't know, budgeting is simply knowing what income is coming into the house and knowing what expenses are going out of the house. And the idea is that you want your income to be as high as possible, your expenses to be as low as possible. With that being said, some of the things that we were able to automate is our retirement account. And so a lot of people, you may have a 401k or 403b, and most jobs talk about it, but I know for me, the first time I heard it, it went in one ear and out the other. I didn't care. And so,
they get one time a year open enrollment thing. Don't really go too deep and forget about the rest of the time.
Yep, exactly. And so our retirement accounts, we were able to utilize those to build a lot of wealth this year. So we were able to max out our retirement accounts, including I have a 401k, she has a 403b. We both have Roth independent retirement accounts. You might hear them called IRAs. And we also have a health savings account, which a lot of people don't really consider a retirement account, but there's a lot of great benefits there. And so even though we were kind of all over the place with our budget this year, hitting those goals of automatically taking that money out of our paychecks before they came to us so we could spend it allowed us to hit a lot of our goals throughout the
year. That's really dope. That's really good.
So my thing is, you said you automated a lot of those things. So so essentially all of those, like for example, HSA, I know that's like a plan that you could probably just do payroll with your employer, right? Mm-hmm. And then like your Roth, are you like just setting it up to where you have like a bill pay in your accounts and everything just kind of comes out?
So I think he's using automating a little outside of the actual definition. So the 401ks and the HSA, those are automatically come out. But as far as the Roth IRA, that is an after tax account, and so there's really no way to get it out of your pay. You have to pay taxes on your paycheck and then put it into your Roth. And so what we mean by automated with that is as soon as the paycheck hits our account, we log into our account. So it's a little manual component of it, but then we transfer it to our savings account. So we don't have it in our checking account, so we're not tempted to spend it.
Right. Okay. So for what it's worth, that it is possible to automate that process as well, but it becomes a little bit more difficult if your paycheck falls on different days of the month. So if you get paid on the 1st and 15th, you could tell your IRA account, hey, withdraw this money on the 1st and the 15th. But, a lot of us get paid every 2 weeks, and that day is hard to keep up.
I know that, you were saying that a lot of people don't use it very much, but there are there are good tax benefits relating to an HSA account because essentially, if you're putting money into, which is a health savings account, right? So if you're putting money into your HSA account and you have payroll deducting that out of your paycheck every paycheck, those are like, you're not getting taxed on that. You know, they pull that out before it gets taxed. So that's like untaxed money that you're getting that you can put away to the side. Although you can only use it for medical reasons, right? But that's like a better way to keep your money in your pockets.
But so another thing, so HSA account is one of the secret retirement accounts of the FIRE community because it's something that people don't realize that it lowers your tax liability for the year, so you don't pay taxes on it as long as you use it for medical expenses. But also, when you get to retirement age, you can actually take that money out for non-medical expenses and use it as a retirement account. So it actually has a triple tax benefit because you don't pay taxes when it comes in. You don't pay taxes when it comes out if you use it for health expenses. And then once you reach your retirement age, you also can use it tax-free. It doesn't have to be for medical expenses. And you can also invest money in that account. You can invest it just like it's a 401k or a Roth IRA.
Okay, so that's like the secret. So especially if you're trying to retire early for your goals, that's like, okay, that's what you do. Kind of put that money. I don't know. Do they have maximums on how much you can max out on an HSA account, right?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, so it's $7,200 for a family, and per person, I think it's 30. It's half of it. 30. I think 30. 500. Yeah, yeah.
Okay.
Real quick. Oh, go ahead.
Another trick, because with the FIRE community, a lot of people are retiring before the typical age of retirement. And so what they do, a trick to pull that money before you reach retirement age tax-free is when you pay for your health care visits, if you go to the hospital or if you have a doctor's appointment, instead of pulling from your HSA and taking away that compound interest that you could accrue, you just hold on to your receipts. And then when you get to the age where you're not working anymore, then you can use those receipts to pull from your HSA as income.
Right. And so all of our medical expenses, we literally take a picture on our phones. We have an app called Cam Scanner that it makes it look really professional. And we just keep a document of all of our receipts, and we pay those medical expenses out of pocket. Thank God we haven't had any crazy expensive medical expenses, because I know that in the medical side of things can get very expensive. But as far as like checkups, going to the dentist and things like that, we pay for that out of pocket and keep those receipts. So when we retire, we can literally pull that money out of our HSA with no type of tax penalty.
That's really good. Okay.
Cool.
And then just to add to that real quick, so for those of you who don't know, the HSA is actually tied to like a high deductible health care plan. So you do have to have some form of a high deductible plan to be able to utilize that. This year, because I actually do have marketplace insurance, because I don't have like a full-time employer, yay to me. But I'm testing it out myself this year to see, because I know that they have some plans that are high deductible and HSA eligible. So I'm going to try it out this year and see, so I can be able to be a guinea pig and let you guys know how that translates to reality. Before you continue, I'm sorry. You guys, this is a disclaimer. We are not giving financial advice to nobody to go follow anything. Please talk to your tax professional, your financial advisor. But we are just, sharing their experience, letting you guys know some gems to the game, and just so you can tap in, you guys. So please, it's a disclaimer. We told y'all.
So you would say like your top 5 retirement investment portfolios, you would say you probably would be what?
Well, I feel like this is a great place to bring some clarity to something that I was really confused about when I first started. So there's the retirement account, which is the investment vehicle, and then there's the actual investment inside of the account. And so I know that sounds confusing. Let me just explain real quick for those of you that may not know. Let's say that I invest in my 401k and I decide to put $1,000 a year into my 401k, and I don't move that money outside of just the base 401k account. Once I retire, I would only have $1,000 for every year, because even though that money was sitting in the 401k account, it wasn't actually invested in anything. And so when you invest in a 401k account, you then want to move that money to the market in some type of fashion. So you want to move it to a stock, You want to move it to an index fund, a mutual fund, or even bonds. And so it's very important to know that, because there have been some people, unfortunately, out there that's made the mistake of thinking that they were putting all this money into their 401k account and that they were going to have a great retirement. And when they got to retirement, they only had the money that they put in there and it didn't grow at all because they didn't invest it. And so we encourage you guys to look into how to invest as well. So to get back to that question, our top accounts, so our number one accounts right now would be our 401ks and our 403bs. The reason why that's considered the number one account right now is because that's the account with the highest limit. So as of 2021, the max amount that you can contribute to your 401k or 403b is $19,500 per person. And so, of course, because that limit is so high, we have much more money in there than we do in our Roth IRAs or our HSAs, which have a much lower amount. Another thing to note as well is that going into next year, the limit is going to be raised to $20,500 for 401k and 403b. And so within our 401k and 403b, the actual investment that we invest into is the S&P 500. What this represents is an index fund that represents the top 500 companies in America. Long story short, the biggest companies you can think of. So off the top of my head, Facebook, Apple, Tesla, Google, Amazon. You invest into this one place and you get to have the growth of all of those companies. And the thing we love about this, specifically the S&P 500, is that it's a hands-free type of investment. So if you guys have ever gotten into stock investments, I'm sure that you've heard of those horror stories of people losing all of their money. That's a risk that you have in investing in individual stocks. So, for example, if you invested in Kmart, if anybody here remembers Kmart, if you invested in Kmart and you put all of your 401k money into Kmart, you may not have a 401k anymore. So the benefit of an index fund is that you don't have to worry about being concerned of whether this company is going to fail. I always joke and say this, because this S&P 500 represents the top 500 U.S. companies, if those 500 companies all fail, we got bigger problems than for 401k. So we invest in that account. Specifically, we use Fidelity. The specific ticker number for the index fund that we use is FXAIX.
Okay.
That's great.
Yes, that is some good information. So definitely taking some mental notes for myself for sure. So that is good. And just to jump back, because I definitely follow, I follow you guys on YouTube. I watch a few of your videos and things like that, and I have utilized your budgeting sheet. So they have a very good budgeting sheet for people who like on an Excel spreadsheet. For people who are like more manual, like I'm a manual person. They have apps and things like that out there, but it'll probably just stay on my phone. I'll never use it. Like I need to intentionally every month go check my stuff, right? So when I started, and even now, I still struggle with being consistent with the budget, because obviously you can't really monitor and figure out where you need to be going in your journey if you don't know how much money you're spending, how much expenses you have. So for people who are struggling to kind of like get consistent with the budgeting, like what would you recommend? Because I think I'll probably be consistent for like 2 months, and then I'll fall off for 2 months, and then I'll jump back on for 2 months.
So yeah, we definitely understand the struggle, because it's definitely something that we have to regroup every couple months to say, okay, this is what we had planned to do, this is what we actually did. So let's kind of regroup and see how we can still get to our goal. And so I think budgeting is something that is an ongoing mastery. You're not going to master it all in 1 month. It's something that every month you look back and to see how you did last month and just try to do better every month.
And something to add to that is another concept that kind of changed my mindset. It was mind blowing to me, I guess I could say, was the concept of paying yourself first. That I was reading this book, and this concept came from the fact that so many of us think of our paycheck spending backwards. We think we get our paycheck and we like, okay, we got to pay our rent or our mortgage. We got to pay the car note. We got to take care of the kids. We got to pay for school. We got to pay for food. Okay, and then when we do all that, then we're going to save. So what tended to happen, at least to me, was that I would get to the end of the month, and in between paying those things, I would buy other things as well, and I had nothing left at the end of the month. And the whole concept of pay yourself first is that when your paycheck first comes, and this goes back to the automated savings thing, you take out what's for you first. And taking out what's for you doesn't mean that you're going to buy a car with it, or you're going to buy shoes with it, or you're going to buy a video game with it. You're putting this money intentionally toward your future. And so the way we look at it is that at the beginning of every paycheck, we have to take out money for our future, for our investment, not money we can just spend. And what happens is when you pay yourself first, you still figure out how to make those other things work. You still figure out, it's like, yo, I got to figure out how to make more money to cover the rest of this stuff I got to do. But I always have to give myself the money first, because if you keep on sacrificing yourself and paying all of these businesses, you're going to get to the end and have nothing for yourself. And so that was a concept that was mind blowing to me, and it makes it easier to me when I'm just like, oh, I shouldn't buy that because I want to buy something for myself for the future.
Yep, I love that. I actually, whenever I talk to my clients or whatever, and we're talking about budgeting or financial stuff, that's the number one thing. Like, pay yourself first. For me, next is kind of tied, and then go on to other things. But that also comes in the like lowering your expenses, getting rid of some of the unnecessary stuff. As you get rid of that stuff, you'll have money to pay yourself first and to pay the bills that you have, and then from there, you'll make a conscious decision. Like, okay, this is not my budget. So I just feel like it goes right back to what we were taught and how what we learned, what we seen growing up. Like, we paying everybody else, but we not paying ourselves. We paying the iPhone. We're paying, the pet insurance, whatever it is that we paying, but we're not paying ourselves. So your money for savings for now, and then the rest of the money, where do you kind of put that? Do you have an emergency fund? Is it 6 times what you make? Where do you put in the extra money? Is in the high yield savings? Do you just invest everything else into, split different platforms? What is that like for you guys?
So we actually, this year has been a kind of shift in the way we have traditionally done things. We have $10,000, which is our emergency fund, which covers if anything ever went wrong with any of us or anything in our personal lives. That should be enough to cover any type of emergency. So that is set in a high yield savings account, which the one that we use right now is Yotta. Is the name of the bank. And the way that they do savings, it's kind of fun because it's like you get a lottery ticket every week, and if your number gets called, then you get a certain percentage towards your savings. And so there's no real risk in doing this lottery. So through that, we've enjoyed using that account. But instead of saving all of our excess money, because it used to be 10,000 plus whatever else we saved towards our next rental property. But because of interest rates being so low, we decided that $10,000 is all that we need to be safe, and we keep that in Yotta. And everything else that we save above that, we put it into an index fund, which either is FXAIX through an actual brokerage account, which is outside of our retirement account. So brokerage accounts are just like if you wanted to buy a stock, you can do it with Robinhood or Webull or even Fidelity. There's many different brokerage accounts that you can use. And so we have some stocks in Webull, and then we have through Fidelity is where we put the excess savings over that $10,000.
So 1% of whatever we save over our automated savings, we put toward the cryptocurrency, which currently right now is only Bitcoin and Ethereum. I know there's a lot of them out there and a lot of risky ones, but yeah, we just started that recently.
Okay, and I know you are going to have to report that you do cryptocurrency report. There was a time when, it was so new and, federal government wasn't trying to tax it and get things like that. Now they want to know. They're like, we want to know how much money you're getting in crypto. Especially when it first a lot of people really recently made a lot of money off of crypto. And, recently people were able to buy houses. They're able to buy a lot of assets and things with cryptocurrency. So yeah, the government wants to know. So when it's time to file your taxes, make sure you're keeping track of how much you're getting, your transactions with your cryptocurrency, because they're going to want to know.
And even at a point to be like, not until you like pull it out, until you actually cash it out is when you report it. As of the new update, according to IRS, as of right now, it may change. There's still some laws they're still trying to work on, but supposedly you're supposed to report just period what you have in account, what you made. So no longer just what you cash out, because it used to be like the plug, like let me keep all these millions of dollars over here, and only when I pull it out. Because when you think about it, say you weren't reporting it and you pull out, like, let's just say 10,000 from crypto, then you get some non-tax money from here, some non-tax money from there, some business income with a couple of expenses to write off, it all balances each other out. But now the whole millions of dollars that we have in crypto, because I'm claiming it in for everybody, but the millions of dollars we have over in crypto and everywhere else, we do have to report that as income, regardless if it's earned income, unearned, whatever. We have to report it as income. So it's all right. As long as I'm flourishing, we got the money. I give y'all the taxes and whatever we have to pay on it because we do things legally, right?
Yes, legally and ethically.
Legally and ethically. But yeah.
Okay. So I'm very curious because I actually do follow your journey, and most recently, I know that you guys put out, not recently, but like in last year, around January of last year, you guys put out a 2021 goal that you guys had regarding your financial goals. So I'm very curious, like, did you guys hit your 2021 goals? Because I know what a few of those goals were, and I know you guys did hit a few of those goals.
So yes, we did not hit all of them, unfortunately, but we did hit our financial goal. Our net worth goal, we wanted to reach $475,000 for our net worth, and we actually exceeded that goal at $533,000.
That's what I'm talking about.
And
the net worth that's the money that you have after you paid your debts, like after your debts and stuff. It's kind of
right.
But
Right, which is why we really think it's so important to drive home that automatic savings plan, because this year was not our best year as far as making good decisions because of all the things that came up in our personal lives that we had to deal with. We kind of got off track on our budgeting. We weren't cooking as much because we were busy doing, other things that we didn't have time to cook. And so we were spending a lot of money eating out. But our automatic savings, and, we can't take all the credit with automatic savings. The market has grown tremendously this year. So with us being diligent and automatically putting that money into the market did the rest of the work for us this year. So that would, and then the real estate that we own as well, the housing market has gone up as well. So a lot of our net worth growth is from the growth of our property value and then the money that we put into the market that has grown.
Well, congratulations. So that is really good. That's really encouraging because that's honestly, if people want to start a journey like for us, people unfortunately would be starting at probably like a negative 50,000 and to build your net worth up to 500,000, 400,000. Just out of curiosity, where did you guys start? Were you guys in the negatives when you started?
So by the time we got married, we were like negative 36,000.
Yeah. Which is another tip that I will give you guys. Something that I personally love doing is tracking our net worth every month. I do it on the 25th of every month religiously, like no matter what's going on, unless like the power's out or something. But we have a spreadsheet for that too. Just to keep track of all the income you make for the month, all the expenses you have for the month. And then we can go back as far as 2017 to see exactly how our net worth has changed. And we have notes in there because sometimes it went backwards. And it was like, we went on vacation, went a little crazy. But so that's something I really look forward to. And it encourages me every time I see it to want to push harder. So I recommend you guys to check out that sheet on our YouTube channel.
Definitely. And we always want to make sure that we let people know that it is attainable for anybody. Like, you don't have to be discouraged if you have a negative net worth right now. Just taking control of your finances, you can become the next millionaire. It just takes the action to do so.
That's good. Thank you. That's something I'm really gonna have to start because I don't check my net. I'm scared to see what my net worth is.
I check my net worth because I check about once a year. And definitely, I would say the biggest change that happened in my network was once I bought a house, and some of the other like just investment stuff is kind of what I was able to add to my net worth. Of course, decreasing my debt. So once you eliminate that debt, that's what's going to help you out. And to be honest with you, in my opinion, focusing on debt is really important as far as trying to minimize it because that's going to free up more money that you can like snowball. You can put more money in these other places. And like John said, in his personal experience, he knows the more money he was putting, the more it was growing, which kind of, again, it may not make sense to some people. But if you ask me, it's worth trying. You know what I mean? I want to find out if it's true. Yeah. Let me put money somewhere.
How many years did you guys start in 2017 or was it before that?
No, we started. So we got married in 2014. So that's when our journey together started. Okay. And that's when we got negative 35,000.
Okay. So within 7 years, you guys were able to build it up to what? 500?
530,000.
That's really awesome goal. So that's my goal right there. Boom. That's my goal. My 2022 goal.
There you go. You can do it. I'm gonna help you. So, but what about you guys? Any gems or any like key takeaways that you would like the audience or the crowd to get from today that you kind of dropped today?
Or even a goal for your 2022?
We definitely want to hear your 2022 goals.
So on the gym side of things, I just want to reiterate the living with the parents. We actually did that 2 years ago. And that was one of our best financial years. So, well, we had a property that we were living in, and we moved out of that, moved somebody else into it so we can get the rental income and live with my in-laws, her parents, for a year. And of course, like you said, after you lived on your own, you're just like, why would I live with my parents? If you guys are watching, thank you so much for allowing us to live there, because that was a huge boost to our finances to be able to have that year to build. So definitely trying to cut that expense as much as possible. The typical American's biggest expense is your rent or your mortgage. Yeah. And so living with your parents is one way to cut that down. Another way is this thing called house hacking, and we've utilized that quite a bit. And that's simply just renting a part of your house to somebody. Disclaimer again, we're not just saying rent your house to random people. Please don't do that. We don't believe in that. I wouldn't ever want my wife to be in the house with somebody I don't know. But we rent to family members. And so we rent it to cousins. I rent it to my best friend, and they have a room, and it's a win-win situation. This isn't, oh, you're taking advantage of somebody, because you're able to get additional money on your mortgage or your rent, and they're able to get a cheaper lifestyle, a cheaper living expense than living on their own. And so that's another tool that we've used multiple times in our financial journey to move forward toward that $500,000 net.
Okay. All right. The 2022 goals, or did you have something to add to team?
As far as our 2022 goals, we actually have been kind of brainstorming about that over the last couple of weeks, and we're going to try to hit a net worth of $1 million for next year. That is our goal. It sounds really big, and because that's doubling what we have right now, almost doubling. But we just have to be a little bit more disciplined with our finances, and we do want to buy another property this coming year in 2022, and hopefully a multifamily property that can help us get toward that goal.
Right. I believe that you guys will hit that goal. So nothing's too out of reach or too big. You just set it and you keep your eyes on the prize. And as long as you have a strategic way to get there, and you guys are very strategic. So as long as you have a strategic way to get there, you will get there. And to be honest with you, I feel like you'll surpass it. Normally when you have your strategies and you're not like too like bent on the numbers, you check in the way you're supposed to check in, you're disciplined, you do what you're supposed to do, and you just let the machine run the way it's supposed to run, you're going to hit that and surpass it. So that's what I hope for you, that you guys surpass the 1 million goal.
So that was the interview. We really hope that you guys enjoyed it. We want to give a special shout out to TAME Financial. Thank you guys so much for allowing us to sit in on this interview. We feel honored to have the opportunity. Their information is going to be in the description below if you're interested. They're tax professionals that, as you see, are passionate about financial independence and early retirement. So check them out. And as Toshana said earlier, we're back now. We're going to be dropping videos consistently. So if there are any topics that were covered in this video that you want us to go more in depth on, just let us know and we'll get that video out as soon as possible. And even if there's a topic that maybe wasn't covered in this video, let us know and we'll get that video out as well. If you guys enjoyed this video, we ask that you please hit that subscribe button for us, hit that like button as well, because that really helps us out and it helps YouTube know that this is a video to be shared with the masses. We want to get this information out to as many people as possible, and hopefully all of us can reach financial independence together. So with that being said, we'll catch you guys on the next one. See ya.
See ya.